And we're on day 6 of learning the deck, Faeries Oracle by Brian Froud. And I asked the deck which cards they want to introduce to me today, as well as have some messages relevant for myself. And first was Tilian the Sylph, Oh That Gnome, and the Master Maker. I will read Oh That Gnome and the Master Maker since Tilian the Sylph was one of our cards yesterday. Now I'm beginning to wonder if there's anything else that I missed. Like that really subtle hint. In the human design, I think that was called splenic authority, but that's also something I'm only just beginning to learn. So splenic authority is like, from what I understand, is similar to Tilian in the way that it's a really small nudge, a really, yeah, a silent, no, not silent, but a whisper of a nudge of inspiration that, yes, and if you're not quiet enough, you'll miss it. You won't hear it. And so there goes your productive lead. Anyhow, let's put Tilian aside over here, since I've got the readings down for her already, and let's do Oh That Gnome. His cheeks are so ruddy. Card number 26, Oh That Gnome. He's a trickster, creative chaos, wild gifts, breaking habits and patterns, who exists in every world and comes to us wearing our own faces to fool us into thinking that his ideas are our own. He brings creative chaos into our lives and helps us break down old habits by showing us how silly we are. Brian mentions that gnome is unreliable and sometimes encourages drunkenness. Oh, is that why his cheeks are so red? This is true. He certainly doesn't always do as we expect, but our expectations are our problem, not his, he says. As for drunkenness, in wine, there is truth. When we let down our mental sensors and filters, we sometimes come up with discoveries about who we really are and what we really want that we hadn't let ourselves know. When he appears, it is breakthrough time, and all too often, the first step in breakthrough feels just like a breakdown. There are better ways of doing this than getting drunk or going through a psychotic break, but the better ways take skill, and he has to work with what he has. Us, just as we are. That gnome tells wild and wonderful long-winded stories complete with demonstrations of the action and much arm waving, one of the online group members says. And that gnome is also full of knowledge. But the trick is sorting out the truth from the fiction. It takes a lot of good sense to be able to listen to him, and he isn't known for his patience. So we better catch on really quickly. If that gnome breaks a vase, the pieces will fall into patterns of great significance and meaning, but it's up to us to read and understand it. He is the potentially constructive force of chaos. That gnome is also the keeper of our wild talents, the ones we may not even know we have. When he appears, it's often to call our attention to our latent gifts. In a nutshell, which is where he claims to belong, his job is to help us get lost from our comfortable ruts so that we'll explore wonderful, exciting, and strange new paths. It's time to leap into the air, letting the earth turn beneath you and discover where you come down again. Reasonable risks are okay. Even unreasonable risks are probably okay. Use your head and look before you leap, of course, but do so understanding that the actual jump is likely to be very rewarding. No guarantees, but then there never really are anyway, no matter how pretty the paper they seem to be printed on and the scroll work around the edge. In a reading, the presence of that gnome tells us that the forces of chaos are at work. Things may not be as they seem, and this may very well be a good thing. Look for the unexpected and find the opportunity in it and go for it. He says that no matter how confused things may seem, there is a way to make them better. But it is a creative way, one you haven't tried before. So he says, think amazing new thoughts. On the reversed, well, the trickster is always reversed in a way, and sometimes even perverse. Sometimes the reverse is even reversed into other dimensions. But which you ask is the real answer. And if that's the kind of answer you want, a neat one in a box, I'm sorry, but that gnome doesn't do those kinds of answers. He's just here to take you up, jolt loose some preconceptions, help you to see yourself and your situation as it really is, and aid you in finding a new and unorthodox response. That's all. Interestingly, that gnome precedes card 27 of Nellis the Alchemist. Card 22. The Master Maker. From his description, he sounds like the Forge Master, or in the Greek pantheon would be Hephaestus, right? His tagline goes, skill, craftsmanship, magician, moral strength, invention. And right there, I can already see how he may be like part temperance, part magician, from, making things happen, experimentation and alchemy. But let's see how they describe him here. The Master Maker is the master of the forge, upon which we create our futures and forge our own souls. He sees the world beyond the other world, the world of first causes. Through his magic, he brings them into his own world of fairy. From his world, these concepts trickle down into our own, through dreams and visions picked up by artists and craftsmen everywhere. But he makes the first, the original. He is the great inventor, and the sign above his door reads, "Practical problems solved here." I'll just read portions of the longish text. One is that craftsmanship is also a labor of love. We must be willing to tackle difficult challenges and have a determination to surpass previous achievements. Patience is always required, as is the willingness to do a thing again and again until it's even better than the best we can do. The Master Maker has the moral strength to refuse the temptation to do anything less. And he is a protector and teacher of the traditional values of his craft. Yet in balance to all of this, the Master reminds us that we also need to learn our own limits. Not everyone can do everything superbly. When we discover our talents and choose our craft, then we gain great joy and fulfillment from developing that skill into an art. We grow more like the Master Maker each time we do the best we can, and then stretch ourselves to do a little better than that. Do whatever you do as well as you can, and then make it even better. The Master Maker reminds us that our very best work is always desirable, and in the present situation, it is necessary for success. In fact, he asks that we surpass our previous best. Don't cut corners and don't take the easy way. Whether making a thing or fulfilling a concept, be sure the design is elegant, pure, and functional, and then follow it, attending to every detail in its turn. He says, design beyond your skill, and then raise the level of your skill to fulfill it. Give and accept only the best, and do it with love of your craft, whatever that craft may be. This card speaks of long-lasting achievement, creative problem solving, and confident action. It may suggest cooperation with others, especially from a position of responsibility, or of teaching one's craft to others. Success comes from practical application of traditional principles in life and in work. In the reverse, when the Master Maker's wisdom and skill are blocked, shoddy craftsmanship is the problem. It doesn't matter what the art or skill or craft is. It doesn't matter whether it's physical or intellectual. This situation is likely to deteriorate badly if people do not give their best and then do even better than that. This card reversed may represent haphazard work, mediocrity, lack of skill, or unrealized potential. While traditional values of quality and integrity of workmanship are important, being dogmatic or stuck in outworn ways just for the sake of tradition is another block to the art of the craftsman. Twisted, the wisdom of this card becomes indicative of the misuse of craftsmanship. For example, we might use our skills in finishing to hide flaws in a structure of either a physical object or a concept or organization. The destructive mode here is to use our skills and craftsmanship in any field to create the means of destruction, whether of lives or the environment or hopes and dreams. It will be a sad day if I ever get the Master's Maker in reverse, and I hope to never get that symbol or signal anytime, anywhere. The starter reading for Faf the Footer. Breathe, ground, center. Maintain or recover sanity by staying earthed. Do this now. Important information is coming your way, but you can only receive it properly if your feet are on terra firma and your head is well connected to the rest of your body. In the reversed, get someone to send a balloon up and pull you back down to earth with it. It's urgent. It's difficult, sometimes impossible, to contact you from planet Earth while you're floating off in your own personal soap bubble. Come back and do this right now. The world is full of sharp edges for soap bubbles to run into when they go pop and tumble us onto the hard ground or into dark and dangerous waters below. The better choice is to bring our own selves down gently into the embrace of Earth Mother. Alternatively, learn to fly properly. This card reversed can also speak of those who draw their energy from others rather than from the source, having lost awareness of that fundamental connection. It can indicate that we have lost a proper sense of ourselves as a whole and holy and are seeing ourselves as much less than we are. So definitely a call to grounding. Now, I don't know if my resolve is being tested, but it seems like maybe I'm not supposed to touch Faf the Footer yet because I have like so many interruptions. I've been trying to get to it, and or maybe it just doesn't like the lighting. I'm not sure. But anyhow, how I see the cards playing together today is an encouragement to do better, to put in 10,000 hours into the craft. Definitely the idea probably of this card reading was a path I was led to. Tilian the Sylph being the idea, that whisper of an idea. Or maybe I didn't discover the idea yet. I'm supposed to be doing something else and I did another thing instead. I'm not too sure. I'll let you guys know if I figure it out. For sure. 26, let's see again. I had some realizations a few minutes ago, but like I said, I keep getting interrupted that I'm not sure what it was anymore. Right. Oh, that gnome, trickster, creative chaos. Thinking outside the box. And creative chaos. Well, definitely. This was chaotic. So that with Mercury retrograde too. I've had a lot of incidents of Mercury retrograde for today. Better watch our toes with this one. But yes. Well, you know one thing though. When you're in a creative chaos episode, yeah, you think outside the box, and that's exactly what we're supposed to be doing, right? To think outside the box in pursuit of a craft or in practice of a craft, but at the same time, practice enough grounding, be practical, and earthed in such a way that you're aware of your limitations and your boundaries, as well as the potential of that endeavor, whatever it is, because the idea is there. And I think The message is as simple as that, but not exactly that simple to execute. And so goes day 6 of the Faeries Oracle. Thanks for joining me.